Obese Chinese man slips and falls. 20 people try to help him back up. This past week, a man in Wuhan, China, took a spill on a city sidewalk and needed the help of roughly 20 people to get back on his feet. From the time he was a boy, 27-year-old Xiao Huang has been on the heavier side due to a genetic factor involving endocrine abnormalities. Weighing in at almost 500 pounds, he's believed to be the fattest person in the city. Unable to get a job, he spends most of his time playing video games. Xiao's family has been trying to keep him on a diet, but he recently got dizzy and slipped in the bathroom. Following a week of treatment in the hospital, Xiao was released, but before his mother could get him into a taxi, he slipped and fell again. Unable to get back up on his own, a crowd of people started to form around him. His mother called police officers to help, but their combined strength was not enough. Firefighters then arrived on the scene and tried using their own strategies, but nothing worked. Eventually, the team of emergency officials decided the best thing to do was to roll Xiao onto a board. Once on the board, the group of about 20 people then used all their might to lift up the board and transfer all 500 pounds of Xiao onto a stretcher. The good deed took roughly 2 hours and a total team effort, but the big guy must have been grateful to be back up and on his way.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Here are a few more stories about people who have trouble with their weight.
Being towed by a pickup truck is no laughing matter. A Kansas City pastor is feeling the wrath of social media after posting this video to Facebook. The footage shows an obese woman in a wheelchair being towed by a pickup truck, which Pastor Lamont Rushing thought was something you'd see
only in Kansas City. Do y'all see this right here?
The video was shared more than 11,000 times over the weekend, but now Pastor Rushing is feeling the heat after many failed to see the funny side. The whole saga began on Saturday when disabled woman Becky Cottrell's power wheelchair ran out of juice on the freezing cold streets of Kansas City. Luckily for Becky, a good Samaritan in a pickup truck stopped and kindly offered to tow her home. That's where Pastor Rushing comes in. The flabbergasted man of God thought he was seeing a miracle and began filming on his cell phone. Becky doesn't have Facebook, but found out she was a viral sensation when her son saw the video and passed on the good news. Becky told a local TV station that instead of filming her, the pastor could have asked if she needed any help. Temperatures dropped to as low as 7 degrees in Kansas City that day, and Becky just needed to find some shelter from the cold.
See this right here?
After all, wouldn't offering to help have been the Christian thing to do? Interviewed on local TV, Pastor Rushing said he never intended to hurt Becky's feelings. The preacher man defended himself, saying he'd just never seen anything like it before. However, after reading some ungodly comments about Becky online, the pastor said he understood why people were so upset with him. He apologized for filming the video and later removed it from Facebook.
Former fattest man in the world loses 60 pounds of skin. Losing 60 pounds doesn't sound all that impressive when you're talking about a person who used to weigh 980 pounds, until you realize that Paul Jonathan Mason of Ipswich, England, just lost 60 pounds of skin. Paul started packing on the pounds in his 20s after his father passed away, and he just kept going until he gained the title of world's fattest man. The change was so dramatic that in 2002, firefighters had to demolish the front of his house to get him to the hospital for a hernia operation. It took 10 years, but in 2010, the National Health Service finally approved his gastric bypass surgery. He lost about 600 pounds thanks to the surgery and a healthier lifestyle. But then he got stuck because his excess skin was keeping him from losing any more fat. Now, a few weeks after his skin removal surgery, Paul is recovering and even taking walks with his babe of a fiancée, Rebecca. It's a well-deserved celebration, considering this is the exact type of surgery Paul had to go through. The 54-year-old says his weight loss journey isn't over and that he wants to keep working toward a sustainable life with Rebecca.
Say no to safe spaces on YouTube. Support TomoNews at patreon.com/TomoNews.
Former Marine booted from plane for being too fat to fly. American Airlines is under fire after a veteran was reportedly kicked off a flight for being too fat. Chris Shelley had just boarded a flight in Dallas bound for Orange County on Friday when, he says, a petite old lady sat down next to him, then moments later got up and walked to the front of the aircraft. Apparently, she'd gone to the front of the plane and complained that the man was too big for his seat. Shelley says the crew told him he was 2 inches over the seat and said he'd have to leave the flight. The average economy class seat on a US domestic flight is between 17 and 19 inches wide, but there's no specific law for passenger width, and each airline operates differently. Back on the plane, Shelley said he was made to feel like, quote, not only a criminal, but a fat criminal. After begging the airline to ask the woman to switch seats with him as a compromise, Shelley was eventually allowed back on the flight. Shelley is a former Marine and flies frequently, up to 100,000 miles a year. He's received 2 apology emails from American Airlines, which says it is investigating the incident.